morning. Happy Thanksgiving. Great racing. Churchill Downs has a good card as well. But we're going to cover fairgrounds today. Every day when they're racing, post time, first post in about 45 minutes. They got the Thanksgiving Classic in race 9. Great stakes race, really is. We'll talk about that in a bit. But we're just going to kind of go through most of the card. I'll give my thoughts kind of on various races. I thought Viola Magic here in race 1. We can watch the race sim. I know this horse can be a really short price. I don't like, using anything other than I do think this is a single if you're playing horizontal bets. This horse just kind of towers over this group. Should win, I think, fairly easily. I know sometimes in these first races, fairgrounds, sometimes you can try to beat chalk, but I don't see it today. I think the 3 is a single if you're playing horizontals. I think the most likely winner on the card, actually. So maybe an easy way to just increase the bankroll to start the day, but give me a really short price, 1 to 9. So race 2, not a super strong opinion here on the turf. I don't think Storm Miami is a lock, would be the one thing I would tell you. I actually have no expectations on top, but I think others can also win here. So not a big opinion race 2. I'm not doubling out of race 1. I just don't have a strong enough opinion into race 2. But I think you're spreading there if you're playing horizontal. In race 3 here, I think that we're going to talk about Mooney Pie, but I think Kinda the Wicked might also have a shot. That would be my top pick is Mooney Pie. So if you want to play a cheap pick 3, I don't think it pays a ton. Maybe you can get a little bit of a price there in race 2, but Mooney Pie is been at fairgrounds last season or last year, I guess still this year, but there's a couple comments I have on this source. One, the first one, she's getting to the rail, and that's key. So if you look at all these races from last winter and fall, she was in the 7 post, the 8 post, the 10 post, and the 9 post, and then she was on the rail. And in her first 2 starts, she showed no speed. She started to show way more speed now that David added blinkers. So good thing there. She's going to show speed. She's coming from tough mid specials. This is not, I didn't go look at all these, but this is not necessarily a great race. But my comment, you cannot win from the outside post like this at fairgrounds, anything outside the 9 post. The 8 post even tough. So scratch both of these races. You can scratch here. So a lot of people are going to look at her form, but when you look at this State Bred Maiden Special, it's really not a great group. It's not. So she's the most likely winner. I like the 3 as well. It's a 1-3 cold exact. I don't know the odds we're getting, but I do like also in the verticals if you're playing cheap. I think Mooney Pie has a big shot with this inside rail. And if you're an E user, you can see my notes down here. I mean, the inside post went 38%, the 1 and 2 post. But when you look to the outside, it's such a low percentage when you're in those outside posts. So she gets an absolutely better post. She's going to be tough to beat. Race 4. Where are we at? Sorry. On the turf, I thought this was a tough race as well. I do think Beekman Street here, I think, has a big look. If you have not seen, we have a new scroll feature here with Equine Edge. You can scroll through the horses now. It's absolutely incredible. If you are E user, you can see analysis on horses. So makes it a lot easier. But the other feature I wanted to show is we now have the rail positions here. It's just a little icon there. And Beekman Street's coming off a 35-foot rail at Delaware and a 50-foot rail at Colonial. And I think there's a lot of speed here. Is the top pick, but gets coming off the pace on the fairgrounds turf can be really dangerous. But I'm also spreading. I think the 2 can run well. Cruz and Chuck, the first-time starter, I think this horse has a little bit of a look. Won't spend too much time here, but you can see I cut about half the field. Probably spreading here in any type of horizontal. But I do think Beekman Street, getting back to a fairgrounds turf course for Stidham, Mitch Morrow 0 for 20 at the meet. He might get his first win here. But I wanted to show that, the rail icon. It's very cool. We just added, and then you can also see when they were off the turf as that little icon there. So I want to make sure to share that this morning. But I think race 4 might be a little bit of a spread, but again, 3 is my top pick there. Um, not, I can't find much work video, no real work. There's no work video at Fairgrounds. So anything we're relying on is coming out of Kentucky and the Kentucky Bred workout video site. Here in this race, I'm 235. Not a big opinion. You can see the 4s in a long shot, but I think this race probably between the 235. Not big opinion. So most of my opinion comes late. So I like Triumphant Spirit. Let's watch the race sim here. If I was to single late, this is probably the spot early. So if you're playing the pick 5 or pick 6, I think that there's, Tommy G could get loose, though, is a little bit of my concern. But I think with the 13 drawing in, and I'm not sure this horse really wants the turf, I don't take a lot of horses that just broke their maiden to come back and win like the 6, but this is really not that great of a group. Paco rides. He's leading at the meet. I think he has 7 wins. J Love got 4. Going to be dangerous coming off. I always talk a lot about if you don't like a horse, you can cut them, and then look who wins the race sim. The 6 win the race sim. So, the 13 Epic Styles coming from some tough races, but I'm not sure that this horse, based on our genetic strength rating, really wants to go 2 churns. And when you look at those past performances, has been sprinting versus Stidham. So, but I'm probably maybe just playing the pick 4. If I played the pick 5, I would single here, but just broke the maiden, was impressive on the rail, came off. Fairgrounds always plays to horses off. It's not easy to wire the field. Tommy G going to be a really short price, but I'm not sure. Takes him a long way. You can see the 13 takes over. So I think they might put a little bit of pace in this race, and it could set up for Paco on the 6. My biggest opinions really come here, though. I think Tender has a big shot. And it is a maiden special. There's a lot of maidens today, which made the car a little bit difficult. So tread lightly. But picked is a Yalpon, and they've been absolutely running monsters as babies. But Tedder, I think, has a big look. This horse is working really well coming into this race. Shows the ability here on the race sim to wire the field. But you can see this is a competitive maiden special. I mean, look at them all there. So, that's where I went on top. When you look here, it was in the 12 post over at Churchill. That's just brutal over there too. You just can't win from out there. If you're e-user, you can see my notes down here if you're watching. Bike slides into the 2 posts. You get a 2-to-1 E morning line. But I will tell you, I did get a chance to watch these Fairground works, and I think they're good. And then has one work over Churchill works, no Fairground works, but got a chance to watch these. They're good, and mainly going to improve here for Al Stahl. I think this horse has a big look. I'm hopefully we'll get a little bit of a good price. Some money going to go on the 5. I think that horse has a little bit of a look, but I like the 2 and 3 picked as the Alpine for Steve. No Fairgrounds though, so I watch the board, I guess, because I'm not sure how the works are fine, but I'm much more of a video than just looking. But I think 2-3 could get you through here. But this is a nice spendthrift, I think, second time out in race 7 in Tedder. I like the next race here on the turf. You can see I cut about half the field. I'm not sure that Yinzer can get loose. There's other speed here to the outside, the inside. I think this race sets up for the 4 or 5. That's the only 2 horses I'd be using in verticals would be the 4 and 5. I'm going to try to beat Yinzer is going to be the favorite for sure, I would expect. But I think other horses can press here. I think both the 4 and 5, we'll talk about them, I think can sit a good trip. I think you can play that again. This late sequence kind of narrow, and you're not having a bunch of favorites. Trying to beat some favorites in some spot. But the 1 runs on, but the 4 wins the race sim. Enlighten, Maker, J Love off the claim. Obviously, Maker does really well at 27%. First off the layoff, 20%. They're 33% as a duo, coming from that easier win, but showed the ability to win a 60 at Gulfstream. Again, got the rail positions here. A race like that and some tough post on a way outside rail is going to be so tough on a horse, but still ran on and ran 5th. And then Maker gets here. Fletcher gives up. So I think Enlighten could improve versus this group, coming out of that 58, going to sit a good stalking trip. And that was in the 10 post and still won there in New York. So, and as I mentioned, we got the scroll feature, less clicks. We hopped down to the 5. This is Cox, Pedroza. I think off the layoff. Horse is lightly raced, hit the board in 5 of 7, showing the ability to stalk off the pace. Just missed here in a 60. I think can improve as well. So the 2 of them I like. Really, there's only 2 I like on the win side. So I'd be going narrow in all horizontals, daily doubles. If you want to play a trifecta, I think you do the 4 over the ones I have here, and you could do the 5 over those. And I think, even a horse like the 1 and 2, I think could run into the try. You can see the 1 is running in here in this race. So again, I think Yinzer is going to, I don't think this horse can wire, and I think could back up. I mean, maybe we can get that horse to even fall off the board, which would be incredible, but should run a good race. So maybe he hangs around. Don't exclude from the try, but I think you might get some prices underneath. Race 9. We'll end here. Last race I thought was tough. I didn't have a big opinion at all, probably on the whole card. This is a great race, though. Let's watch the race sim. So the Wine Steward draws the most brutal post. We talk about sprinting or going 2 turns. Anything outside the 9+ post is so tough. So we'll talk about that. If there's any scratches here, you can highly upgrade the 9, but I'm a play against and a must use on the Wine Steward and the Exacta, but not on top. I think Good Luck and Justice for the Justice family has a big shot here. You can see here that at the finish, the Wine Steward wins. I'm not sure this horse can win from this post. This horse absolutely fits. I was hoping a scratch would happen because I would have loved. I only like the 297 here. It's the 3 horses I like. The thing about Good Luck and Justice is Bear River. I was hoping that Bear River would scratch and we might get you could just play tries like 297, 927. But with Bear River staying in the race, that hurts the Wine Steward. And I don't know if Bear River does not want the turf or the dirt, though. So I don't know if Bear River can keep up with Good Luck and Justice. Good Luck and Justice is my top pick. I think this horse can absolutely wire the field. The E-Morning line is 7-2, right? So you look at the first call, has a pretty good lead. Actually, here at the second call, they do get closer, but I think that's going to be the question. And then the 2 does pull away. And I always run the race sim to the stretch because it can be highly accurate, even from a finish standpoint. And it's right there. I think, again, I'm only using the Wine Steward underneath. I would not put on top for me, just unless you get a scratch in this race, then the horse has a monster shot. But, when you look at the Wine Steward and you look at my notes, when you look at these post positions, the 9+ post going 6 is 9 for 270 in a year, only 3%. And of those 9 wins, 7 came on the lead. 7. So only 2 of 270, 1% have come sitting off the pace. And the Wine Steward does not have the speed to keep up here. This horse could get hung wide. He maybe finds a good trip, but I can't put on top. I think is much more of a vertical horse. And I'm sticking with Good Luck and Justice, could wire the field. The other horse I'll talk about is Surveillance, for Maker, Curtis. This horse should sit a good trip. I'd have this horse on top over the 9. So, maybe it's the 2 over the 9-7, the 7 over the 9 and 2 or 2-9. Like, I like those. You can see the others are running on, but I think in the Exacta, it's just, for me, it's just the 2 or the 7 on top and the Wine Steward underneath. So, it's a great Thanksgiving classic, though, and I'm rooting for Justice Farm. I mean, they ship in here on this state bred, really going to have to improve, but this horse is so dangerous on the lead, and they ship down here. De La Cruz comes down to ride. I think could be really, really dangerous. I really do on the lead, and hopefully we get a good price. So, all right. That's all I got for you all. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time. Family, friends, always a great time. We got great racing today. It's a great card at Fairgrounds. If you missed it, it'll be posted up on X or on my YouTube, and you can check it out. Hit the QR code up above as well. 3 free races. And the one thing I'll tell you, if you haven't seen it, if you're an Equinedge user, if you're not a user, there's a Black Friday deal, $9.95 for Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend. Just this weekend. I don't think it's out yet. It come out today, I think, sometime. But watch that. It's normally 31.95, and you can get Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Great weekend of racing with Fairgrounds, Gulfstream, Churchill. 9.95 versus traditionally 31.95. So great deal just for this weekend. And press your opinion. Not turf races here might be a little tough, but I think you can go narrow on a lot of the dirt races. So all right, y'all. We'll be back tomorrow. Good luck. Happy Thanksgiving.